Mindfulness meditation, though, consists simply of 3 steps. Taking your seat, bringing your attention to your breath, and labeling the thoughts as thinking when your mind gets astray with a thought, and coming back to breath. Those 3 things, that's all you're doing. So I'm going to go into those a little bit more in depth. Taking your seat. As you all know, as yogis, or maybe new to yoga, our anatomy is so different, all of us. So taking your seat may not look like this. This is a traditional sitting on a bolster, sitting on a cushion, cross-legged on the floor position. This is traditional. But I will tell you right now, I cannot hold this for more than 15 minutes. So if I do a longer sit, I'm not sitting like this the whole time. I have to either stretch out my legs or get up sit on my heels or change my position midway through. And that's fine. The important part is that you're supported by your spine. So whatever position you have, your spine is supported. It is erect, lengthened, and supporting your body. And then the front of you is soft and relaxed. Your shoulders are soft. Your jaw is soft. You're just very much at ease in the front of your body, but you're really being supported by that spine. So we like to also say upright, but not uptight. So you're supported, but you're not rigid. Okay. So you want to bring an amount of softness. The hands go face down on the top of the thighs for grounding. And your gaze is about 4 to 6 feet in front of you. The eyes are not closed, okay? The reason for this, because this is a challenge for some people used to meditating with their eyes closed, but I guarantee you'll get used to it. I cannot meditate with my eyes closed anymore because I'm so used to this. But the reason for that is we don't want to tune out. We don't want to close off to our reality in our present moment of what's surrounding us. We want to be in and of the world, what's happening, very in a diffused way, just aware. So all of our senses are open and accepting everything: sight, touch, smell, taste, feel. So the gaze is down in front of us, so the eyelids are soft. And speaking of not being able to sit in this position, you can change your position midway, but also you can sit on a chair. You can do this on a chair, which I actually love doing sometimes. And it's very helpful if you sit at a desk. You can sit in that desk chair and meditate. The only thing with that is you're going to want to scooch a little bit forward so you're not slumping into the back of the chair. Again, straight, upright spine supporting you, right? Soft front. And then just feet on the floor, hands on your lap in a chair. There's also other things like meditation benches, which I have here, which is really wonderful, very comfortable. I got this for Christmas. Thank you. Thank you to my in-laws. Very comfortable. So the feet fold out, you put it there, and then you just sit on the bench like so. You have your feet underneath the bench in a comfortable manner, and you sit back, and this is your seat. Really supportive for anybody with knee problems, with meniscus or inner knee problems. This is a wonderful little prop to have. Obviously, we don't all have meditation benches, so my little yoga hack for that, which is really nice. I know y'all have 2 blocks, right? Because you're yin yogis. Stack those 2 blocks at the lowest setting. Bring a blanket. Beach towel, blanket, whatever you have. Just drape it over there. And then take your seated position on your knees. Super duper easy and comfortable. Really easy on my knees. Okay. So those are some hacks. Of course, you could sit in a chair or the typical cross-legged position, but you want to make sure that your hips are always, your hips are always higher than your heels, okay? And preferably higher than your knees, but I know that's probably not happening for a lot of people. So anyway, so that's taking your seat. The second step, bringing our attention to the breath. So bringing our attention to the breath can mean any area of the body. You can bring your attention to the low belly like we do in our yin breathing sometimes. If you feel the breath in the body there, but that may be troublesome to some people. And sometimes for me personally, that's a little too internal. And if I've recently eaten a meal, I don't really like to focus on this area. It makes me get a little sleepy and, so my mind tends to wander more. Bringing it at the tip of the nose, though, is wonderful. That's a much more of a pinpointed area, just feeling the breath against the edges of the nostrils. And it's close to the mind, too. So there's no specific pranayama. It's just your natural, spontaneous, whatever it is at the time, breathing. It might be quick, it might be slow, relaxed, deep, shallow. It's just your breath. Like I always say, what does it feel like to be a human being breathing in this body? That's just what you want to experience. Bring the awareness to your breath. So that's what you're doing in this meditation. Now, when you're bringing your attention to your breath and you've got your posture, your mind will wander. If it doesn't wander, you're not human. So please be kind to yourself. The most biggest thing, if you go away with anything from this first introduction, is to be kind with yourself when your mind wanders. It will. So when your mind, you find it not focused on the breath, and all of a sudden you're thinking about how many emails you have to write, whatever. Soon as you catch yourself in that thought, with kindness, softly to yourself, you're going to say thinking and come back to that attention at the breath. If you start daydreaming, thinking, come back to the breath. Agendas, thinking of the past, thinking of your breathing, that's thinking, come back to the breath. You are either at any moment thinking or in the present moment focusing on the breath. You're one of those two things. So any type of thinking is my point. Any type of mental activity is thinking. So you kindly label it thinking and come right back to breath. And each time you do that, it's like you're giving a bicep curl to your mind. You're strengthening it to recognize when it's not in the present moment. And it sounds easy. It sounds doable, but you will notice when you do the practice that it's not. And the number one complaint is it's boring. It's meant to be boring. This is how to be bored, right? So why would I want to do that though? Because clarity, stability, strength. You're really strengthening your mind. And I can speak from experience that this practice can absolutely change your life. I will tell you, my personal experience with meditation started about 20 years ago. I was in a severe state of depression. And I was living in Los Angeles, a big city, by myself for the first time. Family wasn't close by. I was kind of all alone, living in a city, not able to afford, barely could get by, freelance jobs here and there. I remember, I think I had $20 for food per week at that time. Thank God for Trader Joe's because I was set on eating semi-healthy, right? So anyway, severe depression, like really, like I had never felt anything really like this before. It was a feeling of hopelessness. Like, why am I here? What am I doing? Why am I working every day? What is it all for? You know, those big questions. And this is back in my early 30s. And one day I saw a Shambhala meditation center. And being Christian and raised very Catholic, I usually would have gone to God or Jesus during really tough times in my life like this, right? I mean, that was my go-to always. And it usually ended up, working itself out somehow. But it wasn't doing it. This was something I needed, something tangible. I needed something to work with. I needed something that I could touch, feel, and practice and do, because my religion was not enough for me. So went to the Shambhala Meditation Center just to find out what it was all about. Long story short, ended up staying and doing the practice, greeted very warmly. Just someone told me the practice, like I'm telling you now, the 3 steps. And the strangest thing, when I left there, I just felt like I had forgotten about everything that was plaguing me when I went in there. Like that burden was no longer on me. Of course, a couple hours later, my mind would start going, and the next day would be another, same thing. But I felt that meditation center kind of became a sanctuary for me, became a place that I could go to and everything was quiet and my mind could just stop and be quiet. And I learned how to work with my mind when I wasn't in the meditation center. When I was at home, I could sit and practice. When I was standing in line at Trader Joe's, stressing out, impatient, judging, pissed off because it was taking too long, worrying about all the things I had to do, thinking, come back to the breath. So years and years, I mean, I was off and on for so long, but this past year, it's been consistent, and enough so that I have gotten my certification to teach this now. And it was a tough road, but so worth it. And I am so hoping that some of you will take this to heart and practice it, and don't get discouraged, and email or text or write in the Facebook group any questions you have with this. So we're going to do the practice right now. We're going to just sit for 10 minutes. So this is going to be a short session. I'm going to set my timer here. And I'm going to ring the bell when we start and ring the bell when we are finished. So find that seat that works for you. Find your seat, step 1. Remember, you can change the seat if it starts to bother you during the sitting practice. Sit on your heels, sit on the 2 blocks. Okay, finding your seat. Bringing the attention to breath. Hands are face down. Gaze is 4 to 6 feet in front of you on the floor. Jaw is soft. Chin slightly tucked. Lengthen the spine and lift, and then soften the front of the body. Where do you feel the breath? Maybe at the tip of the nose. Just focus on that breath. And you know what to do when the mind runs astray. Just label it thinking. With kindness, come back to the breath each and every time. We'll sit for 10 minutes. Slowly start to just maybe deepen your breath. Take any movement that you'd like to in your body. Doing what feels good. So, welcome to your mind. And even in the midst of the dog barking and everything that's going on around me, I still hold in that meditative state. You're aware of it. Your senses are all open to the sounds, the movement, and then you just come back to the breath. The mind's not attaching. And I will tell you that my mind went astray probably 552 times. So the goal of this practice is not to keep your mind from straying off. That's impossible. This practice is to help you strengthen the mind by noticing it when it's wandered off and then bringing it back to breath, strengthening the mind that way. So then when you are out in the world and things happen as they do in life, you're able to just come back to that anchor, to the present moment. So thank you for joining me. And like I said, feel free to download this, using it as often as you would like. I highly recommend doing this on a consistent basis. The only way that any of this is going to work for you is if you actually sit your butt down and do it. So start off with 10 minutes a day for a week and then increase each week by 5 minutes, working up to 20 minutes a day, at least 5 days a week. That would be the goal, I would say, to have a starting practice at 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. And again, if you sit and realize how busy your mind is, you're not doing it wrong. You're just exploring. You're just seeing. We're just spending time with the mind. And yes, it's boring, and that's okay. It's 20 minutes of our day. So thank you once again, and please post questions, feedback, anything in the Facebook group, or you can contact me directly through Facebook in the group, and I will see you soon for yin class. Namaste.